I have here with me Jake Thomas, of course, our wonderful producer, and he's going to join us on this incredible subject, which I think we all want to know more about. And of course, Peter Love is going to help us to learn more. He's the Chief Energy Conservation Officer for Summerhill Group. That's a mouthful, Peter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be back.
So maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit more about your background and how it is that you're such an expert when it comes to energy conservation and how we can do more within our homes.
Started my career at Pollution Probe when it first started, and I basically been focusing on energy policy and energy policy issues for many years, and with a particular focus on the built environments on buildings.
We had Corey McBurney on earlier today on this episode. We're going to call this the green episode. He was from Enter Quality. So just out of curiosity, what is it that you're doing now? How does that differ from Enter Quality?
Well, Corey's focus is on new construction, which is really important. If you're going to build it right, build it. It's going to be around for a long time. So let's put the time and effort in to really build it well. And Corey does a great job with that. And actually, I used to do what Corey did. I used to run. I was the first president of that organization and started the programs up. And Corey's done an amazing job with that, working with developers and builders to introduce those programs, which is really important. We add about 1.5% of the housing stock every year as a new building. So it's great to do that and make sure it's energy efficient. But after 10 years, we still got a lot of old buildings.
Yeah,
a lot of old buildings. So my focus is more on the existing buildings. What can we do about those existing buildings? They're not all going to be ripped down and made into condos. Most of your listeners are going to be in their house for a while, and they're looking to do something about that house.
All right, so let's touch on that. What can people do that are listening right now that have a 10, 15, 50-year-old home over 100? But what can they do? What steps can they take?
Well, the first one really is to understand how much you're using and to have an energy audit. And we actually talked about this last time I was in. We know more about our computers, we know more about our cell phones than we do about our house in terms of its performance, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate. The house is the largest investment people often make. It's a huge user of energy, and people have a sense of that. They see the bills. So I think it's really important to start with an understanding of how is your house doing compared to other houses in the neighborhood. And so that starts with an evaluation, with an energy audit of your house. And then once you've got that, and the audit will come back and it will give you recommendations on what could be done. So, but you need to start with the audit. I mean, you can just sort of go out and try and do it yourself.
Otherwise you're flying blind, really.
You are.
You're just kind of cocking this, and you're working on this and covering this and replacing that, but you're really not doing it with guidance. So this is going to give you a true determination of what you're dealing with.
Right.
And I think, Simon Giannini and I always say most people don't even know how to work their home.
No.
That's why we're such advocates for the home inspection, because really the purpose of it is to understand what it is you're buying.
Right.
And more importantly, it's to understand how that home works, because there's no two homes that work the same.
And that's why I'm really interested in, and really was very pleased to see that Enbridge is a sponsor of your show here, and the program, your energy score. I mean, it's a really good program, and it's an opportunity for your listeners, both brokers as well as homeowners, to participate in it. And I encourage them to go find out more about it. One thing that I'll add in, and sort of a side comment, and this can often be a big motivator for people as well, and people may not realize, but Enbridge is actually paying money for this program to do these audits and do this work, and big money.
Yeah.
And that money doesn't come out of the air. It comes from every ratepayer in the province. So everybody who pays a gas bill pays a little bit of money towards energy conservation. That is not voluntary. Everybody pays. These programs are voluntary. So it's a chance for your listeners to get their money back, because the money's come off their bill to pay for this program. So by not participating in it, your neighbor is using your money to upgrade their energy efficiency. That really drives business as well.
Well, that's a good way to put it. In other words, if you don't take advantage of it, I mean, you're just giving money away.
You're giving money to your neighbor to do it.
Well, and it's smart in any house to have a baseline, to have an understanding of, okay, where are my deficiencies? And you can do that by going to knowyourenergyscore.ca.
Yeah.
They will sign you up for a free energy audit, at which point you can ascertain where the problems are and what to do next.
Right.
So to go back to Erin's comment about 5, 10, and 50-year-old homes, there has to be differences between a 10-year-old home a 50-year-old home, and in certain situations, a century-year-old home. So what sort of things are you seeing most people do in order to increase the home's actual energy efficiency?
Well, most of these audits will start with very simple air leakage. That's probably the biggest source, and the least expensive and the fastest thing to do is just to tighten up the house so you're just not heating the outdoors. You're not having air in your heated air in the winter just going out through the cracks and fissures. And people don't realize that there's a lot of holes that get punctured into your home. The cable guy, the electrical guy, the plumbing, the heating, there's all sorts of stuff coming and going out through your walls. So it may have been a pretty tight house at one point, but then things get changed and added. And one of the real challenges with energy in a house, and this is one of the things I really focus on, it's hard to see. It's it's really, you get this idea of the bill. The one number I focus on is 82%. 82% of our man-made greenhouse gas emissions comes from the production and use of energy. 82%. Wow. So if you care about climate change, as I know your listeners do, and if you care about doing something about it, where you focus on is energy, how much you use and where it's coming from. So this is the thing that you can say to your kids and your grandchildren and your neighbors. This is what you're doing, because that's what I think is the real driver here. Yeah. And people are looking for ways to participate and looking for ways to help out the environment.
But Peter, what can we do? Because it's just, we're getting the message and we're working really hard. We as of course, the talk show, Enbridge is doing their part. We've got realtors out there that are waving the Know Your Energy Score, flag. What more can we do? Because as you pointed out, it should be mandatory. This is just something that is a responsibility of owning a home.
Well, as with everything, it comes down to dollars and cents, right? And I think the audit program is an amazing opportunity to get the ball rolling, but ultimately it's the responsibility of the homeowner to actually spend the money upgrading their home. So are there any programs that you know of are coming down the wire that could help to perpetuate people wanting to make their homes more energy efficient?
Absolutely. And there's a really interesting one. It's just being piloted now in Toronto, and there's other municipalities that have expressed interest in rolling it out. It's called a local improvement charge. And what it is because one of the challenges with homeowners is that they maybe have been in the house for 3 or 4 years. They're going to sell it in 3 or 4 years. So they don't want to go into a really huge energy efficiency project that might have a 10-year payback. So they're looking to, so how do you overcome that? So this local improvement charges, it's been done in the States and it's now coming into Canada. So it's an opportunity to take like a $10,000 retrofit of your home, and it's organized through the city, and the city then bills you back on your property tax for that loan at a very good rate, probably better rate you can get because the city's pretty big.
That's right.
And then when you sell the house, after 2 or 3 years, the payments continue by the next owner. So it's because that owner is getting the benefit of those savings. So it's a really well-aligned system so that the person making the upfront costs, even if they sell it partway through, the next person is picking up their share of it.
You know what I love?
Is Toronto doing this pilot program?
Yes, they are. They are. It is starting in Toronto, and it hasn't been launched yet, but it's been approved.
Okay.
And
I was going to say, how come we're just finding out about this now? I love learning, but
this is hot off the press, so you're going to hear more about it.
Look for this program, because why would you not want to take up to 10 grand, put it into your house, but know that you're not tied to it.
Yeah.
It's coming out in your property tax or whatever your municipal payments are. That's fantastic.
Yep. So it's been in the States a bit. It started in the States just before the real estate crash. So then it got confused, but it's getting picked up again in the U.S. now, and So it is something that has been passed. It actually got full approval of the City of Toronto Council. Not many things do, and so everybody approved it, and so it's proceeding. My frustration with the federal government is that they spend a lot of time on the supply side of energy, a lot of time on pipelines. We're getting a lot of discussion on pipelines, and they seem overly concerned about the supply side. And I understand that. I understand why it's important for them, but it needs to be balanced. We need to also look at the demand side. Now, there is an Office of Energy Efficiency within the federal government. I'm an advisor to that office. It is functioning. It does some good work. So on standards and codes and on auditing procedures and on protocols. So they do good work, but they could be doing a lot more. The other thing that I really call for in Canada is a national energy strategy. And I think one of the frustrations with companies when they come forward with proposals for an energy project, everybody comes out of the woodwork because we've never had that full national discussion about what our energy future should look like. And it's not just drill baby drill or pipe baby pipe.
Yeah.
I think there's more to it than that.
So it needs to be more organized, Peter? Peter? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Less regional. It really is a national. It's a global issue that really needs to take on a national stance, right? Like we could easily have programs that run coast to coast. British Columbia's usage is completely different than downtown Toronto.
Absolutely.
Calgary, the East Coast, you name it. It's all very different.
And, an organization called the Canadian Council of Chief Executives, 150 of the CEOs of the largest companies in Canada have called for a national energy strategy.
So they want it.
They want it, absolutely.
Okay.
They want clarity. They want to know what the deal is, and our federal government is not making clear what our energy policy deal is, and it's more than just pipelines to the U.S. and China.
All right. Now, Peter Love, we're going to definitely have you back. I mean, you're a regular on our show because more importantly, you really are on the pulse of what's going on. And we get to learn so much when you come in here and, of course, get the latest and greatest news of what's going on. So remind our listeners, if they want to know about how to conserve, what they can do to take action with their own homes, where should they go?
So the most important thing I think you can, really great source of information is your local utility. The people you get your energy bill from, your electric utility and Enbridge Gas, they have programs. You're actually paying for them. It comes off your bill. So they have great programs, and it's up to you to find out more about them and to participate in them because they're looking to help you save energy.
Very good. So everybody, to do your part, remember, visit knowyourenergyscore.ca. And of course, Peter Love, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, Peter.
Thank you.